Rock stars, Eric Andreas, your guitar sage here. It is October the 5th. Welcome to the Guitar Show. Today we're going to be talking about how to create memorable melodies over chords. I'm going to talk to you from the 30,000 foot level on down. So for those of you who don't understand the basic construction of music, which is most people, most musicians don't understand this. It's so simple. And once you see it, you can't unsee it, and it will absolutely help you tremendously. I was talking to my buddy Jacob Reynolds this morning. He's been on the show before. He's a Broadway player. He's a singer-songwriter. And we were talking about how important it is to actually understand what it is that you're doing and not just mimicking other players. There's nothing wrong with that. I did that for years, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. But the freedom that it gives you, there's that word again, freedom. That freedom that it gives you to create is everything, is absolutely everything, okay? So we're gonna talk about, I'm gonna take you just from the very top and we're gonna work our way down, okay? Now, how to create memorable melodies over chords. Basically what I'm gonna do today is I'm going to unravel how keys work, where we get our chords from, why one's major, one's minor, and one's diminished, and this, that, and the other thing. Why it is that the major scale is the way that it is, or not the why that it is, just why that's important, why the intervallic, or distance between those notes, why that relationship is everything. And then once we understand the basics, right, because we've got to have a foundation. If you try to skip over the foundation, which seems to be the world that we live in today, everybody trying to skip the good stuff. I don't understand this. Skipping all the good stuff, the basics, they want to get straight to the important stuff. The important stuff is the base stuff. It is the foundational stuff, okay? When you see somebody stumbling through life at anything, it's because they don't have the foundations. It's not because they don't have the high-end stuff. They don't have the foundation to take care of. They can't self-manage. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about those foundational bits which make music music, okay? The way we hear it. We'll talk about common chord progressions. We're going to talk about how if we're having a conversation, right now I'm looking at some notes because I want to stay on topic and I want to guide you. Same thing, if we're having a conversation, we need to keep up inventory-wise about what the other person said, right? If we're discussing something to add on top of, to complement, that sort of thing. And if we're not listening to the other person, we can't do that. In music, we have to listen across. We have to listen to what's going on. What key are we in? What chords are being used? How are those chords being played, etc. Because what that will do is put us in a place so that we can converse with the rest of the players in a way that we couldn't if we weren't paying attention. Absolutely crucial, okay? And then the last thing is, how do you develop this, okay? Because I'm going to show you all these pieces today. But for those folks that like to skip all the super important stuff, and those people that love get rich quick schemes and are always talking about winning the lotto and stuff like that, you might as well turn this off right now because this is not for you. I'm not joking. It's not for you. This is for people that understand that going for this stuff requires some work. It requires some energy. So if you're soft, go ahead and leave now because this isn't going to be fun for you. You're just going to want, fun stuff. And this is fun, but you got to dig in, okay? So for those of you that are still with me, who haven't left, good. All right, here we go. So, also a couple things very quickly. Links below, okay? If you're watching on YourGuitarSage.com, you're going to see that we've got 4 courses on sale today. The songwriting course that I did with my lovely wife here just a few months ago, bestseller. I'm pretty sure that one's a bestseller now. Yeah, thank you, Mike. Bestseller. We have Chip Henderson's jazz course, which is also a bestseller. We've got Jeff Duke's rock rhythm course, and we have Jeff Duke's speed picking rock guitar course. All those up to 89% off right now. Click the link below. They can get to it from the YouTube page, yeah? Thank you, Mike. Okay, so in the YouTube page, you'll see the link. That'll bring you to the landing page that has all the coupons there for you. You can go straight to Udemy and do it, but you're not going to get the same discount. You're going to get like way less of a discount. So here you're getting the very bottom, the cheapest that you can actually get it. And these are, like I said, half of these are best-selling courses. Okay, do that. Cool. Yeah. All right. Quick shout out, if you're in some country that is protesting and doing all that stuff, my hat's off to you, man. Power to the people. I just want to say, because people are out there and they're being brave, and I want to say, I see you and other people see you, and I think that needs to be said. It needs to be commended that you're fighting for your sovereignty, because that's what it takes, is fighting for our sovereignty. Okay, so with all that being said, here we go. Let's jump into this, friends. Okay, let's talk. Okay, look, there's 12 notes, okay? There's 12 notes, and all the music that you and I listen to, unless you're listening to microtonal Indian music, which is super cool, by the way, but unless you're listening to microtonal music, okay, which is not very common, and even that microtonal music has this real structure around the major scale, okay? Those microtones are ornamental, if you will, like spice, okay? 99.9999999% of everything, of the music that you listen to, is based on the major scale, but we're even going to go back further than that. We're going to say the chromatic scale, or includes the chromatic notes. There are 12 notes in the chromatic scale. All the rock music, blues music, jazz music, classical music, hip-hop music, et cetera, go down the genres. In every single, you know, pop music, we'll say, country music, all these genres of music only have 12 notes in them. I know, sounds ridiculous, but what I mean by that is they're only using the same 12 notes but repeating them. And in many cases, it's only about 6 or 7 notes being repeated over and over and over and over and over again. Okay? All right? So, 12 notes. In fact, we start on this A, the open A string, and I say A sharp, B, C. Well, let's go back for a second here. A lot of this stuff is covered in the Unstoppable Guitar System. If you're not a member of that, we've got a free trial for you today, or a free trial. It's a $1 trial. Links are below. So here's an A. If we go through the chromatic scale, all notes have a sharp except for B and E. And a sharp is when we raise a note up. These are just names. Don't even worry about them, because the names don't even matter. Really, truly, they don't. Unless we're talking about the tonal center, and we'll get to that in a minute. But if we go A sharp, B, C, C sharp, D, D sharp, E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp, and then we're back to A. And this works on all these strings here. So we start on an E, we play 12 notes up. Now we're at another E, okay? And so this is E, A, D, G, B, E. The string's going down, and E, A, D, G, B, E. So 12 notes up. We only have 12 notes. Let's just get that in our heads, okay? Cool? 12 notes, that's it. Now, let's talk about the tonal center in the key, because this is really important, and I find, we have a lot of our Udemy students here today, because we just let them know. And I get this question a lot from our Udemy students, a lot of Indian folks, which I love Indian folks. Love them, and I love Indian food, FYI. Big fan, big fan. Anyhow, they often have the question about tonal center or key. I'm not sure why that is. It may be cultural in some way, but doesn't matter. Let's talk about it. Tonal center or key is really important. And in fact, if you don't know what the tonal center or the key, we can use them pretty synonymously. If we don't know what that is, then we're going to have a hard time knowing what the notes are, knowing what the chords are, and then it's like having a conversation. We don't know what the other guy's talking about. We walk into a party, and we know it's a party, we've been invited, we don't know what the subject matter is. We don't know if it's Tough Mudders, and these people are running out in the mud, and they're working out. We don't know what it is. So that would be weird. If you don't know what a conversation is, and you just throw your hat in the ring, and you start talking, you're gonna be made a fool of. In the same way in music, if you don't know what key you're in, you're gonna be made a fool of. You gotta know what the tonal center is. The tonal center is that one note that all the other notes and all the other chords revolve around, point back to, refer back to, want to gravitate back to, kind of like the sun in the center of the solar system, okay? Usually, in a popular song, it's going to be the first chord. So the first chord that's played is usually, the bass note is going to be the tonal center or the key. Oftentimes it's the last chord or the bass note of the last chord that's played. Oftentimes, I have a whole video series on that inside of UGS. I've got a video on it on YouTube. Search YourGuitarSage key or tonal center. You'll see a few videos on that, okay? So once we have the tonal center, okay, let's go back. Tonal center is that one note that all the other notes, all the other chords revolve around, right? So whenever you hear, you know, music being played, and, right, we hear that chord at the end, and it sounds resolved, and we're like, yeah, and everybody claps at that time. So you know this intuitively, but you may not know what the name of that note is, but you know that, hey, that's that resting chord, right? That's what we mean by tonal center or key, okay? Now, or let's just say tonal center. The key, similar, what we mean by that is it's usually used in slightly different terms, but if we say, hey, this is in the key of C, then C is the tonal center. If we say it's in the key of G, then G is the tonal center. But usually when we're talking about the key of, what we also mean is, okay, well then there are these other notes that also appear. In the key of C, it's C, A, B, D, E, F, G. No sharps, no flats. That's the C major scale. If we were in the key of G, it would be G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G. Only one sharp, but nonetheless, the key is one sharp, also known as the key of G, also known as the key of E minor, synonymous. Because for every major key, there's a related minor key. For every minor key, there's a related major key. Don't let that overwhelm you. I have a video for that called Relative Major Minor. Whole series of that inside of UGS. All right, so we know what our tonal center is, right? It's the note that we keep referring back to, the chord that we keep referring back to. If you will, it'd be the thesis of our paper or a statement or our speech. It'd be like the opening statement. I think marijuana should be legalized, would be the thesis of a specific paper. And then maybe you would you'd give the facts and everything, and then you would end it with that, right? I don't know why Mike is snickering, but okay, so you get the idea. We're starting off with that, and we're ending with that idea, okay? Similarly, when we're talking about a key, we refer back to that key a lot. So if you had a speech, you're always going to be referring back to whatever it is that you came to teach the people on. Watch any TED Talk, right? Okay, so now, key is related to the major scale. You've heard me say it oftentimes that the major scale is the de facto benchmark, most important tool that any musician will ever have from now until the end of time, amen. And I will fight anybody, fist fight anybody regarding this. I don't care who it is. It is literally the #1 tool that anybody can ever learn with music, because this, you know, I'm getting ready to do another video. I think it might be next week. I think we're doing a live video on this, how you can get all of your modes, all of your keys from one major scale. You can get the pentatonic, you can get major pentatonic, minor pentatonic, Aeolian, Dorian, Phrygian, Lydian, Mixolydian, etc. Okay? All the modes from all the different keys from one scale, from one major scale that you will learn right now. Okay? It's in the Unstoppable Guitar System. I've got videos for it on YouTube. Search YourGuitarSage Major. But you can take any note. In this case, we're going to take a G. And if you follow this pattern that says, okay, first off, half step's the distance between one fret and the next, right? From here to here is a half step interval. And interval is the distance between two notes. So half step. Two halves make a whole. So if I go 1, 2, that's a whole step. Okay? So if I play this pattern, whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half, we get the major scale. I'm going to pluck my first note. Here we go. Here we go. We got whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. That's a major scale. And that's how we determine that G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G. That's how we determine what notes are sharp and flat. We start on a particular note, we play whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. And that's how we determine what notes are sharp and flat. If we were in the key of C, watch this, we're gonna go whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. This is C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. If we were in the key of F, we're gonna play the same pattern. It's the same every single time. Whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. So we have F, G, A, B flat, C flat, D flat, E, F, okay? We could use sharps there as well, but I was using flats. Nonetheless, we have that pattern. It's whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half, and there's our major scale every single time. Now, what happens is because of the intervallic relationship, these have relationships, right? We have whole, whole, half, and then we have whole, 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 half. It's the only place where whole, 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 half appears. And there's a relationship, and in a nutshell, even if we took the time and took the hours to define why it's pointing back to that one note, it's not going to be very interesting. It would be like, I don't know, it's not even worth talking about, at least at this point. It would be like, why does yellow and orange make you happy and blue makes you calm and red makes you excited or whatever? You know, it's like, you want to study that stuff, great. Otherwise, let's paint some pictures, right? That's what we're trying to do right now. So understand that the whole step, half, whole, 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 half creates the major scale, which is king of everything musically. It's what gives us our tonal center, and it gives us our key, okay? Now, that being said, now some of you are like, well, I thought you were going to teach me how to create memorable melodies over chords, Eric. I am, friend. I'm doing that. But we got to cover some bases. Otherwise, I'm going to say interval, and you're going to be like, I don't know what an interval is. Or I'm going to say chord, and you're not going to know what a chord is. Or I'm going to say major chord, and you're not going to know what a major chord is. We got to get these basics down, okay? Plus, we got all the weak people out, right? The weak folk. And you know, I mean that in the kindest way. I just mean folks that are, I can't do it. As opposed to, you know what I'm talking about, okay? All right, so major scale, we got that. Where the chords come from, let's talk about this really quickly. If we take we're gonna do this in the key of G, okay? A chord is 3 or more notes played at the same time. So if we take this 1, and we skip a note, we're gonna skip the 2 and play the 3, and I'm just gonna play it down here because I can, because it's a guitar. I can play the same note multiple places. And then I'm gonna skip a note, I'm gonna skip this 4 and play the 5. And I'm not gonna play it on this string, I'm gonna play it on the open D. Now I can play the 1, 3, 5, and now I have a G major chord. And I can play the rest of the 1, 3s, and 5s and create a nice G major chord. If we follow this same structure of skipping a note, so here's a 2, we're going to skip and play the 3, skip the 4 and play the 5. We play those 3 notes together, 1, 3, 5. We get the major chord. If we did that starting from the 2, we'd go 2, skip the 3, play the 4, skip the 5, play the 6. Now we have okay. Now we have a minor chord. So our first chord's major, second chord's minor. And if we follow this same exact pattern, we can't go in all the detail right now because some folks are going to get bored while other ones are saying, I need to know the details. If we keep going up the fretboard, following that skipping pattern, using the major scale only. Okay, so when we skip, if we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? 1, then you just skip notes. 1, 3, 5, 2, 4, 6, 3, 5, 7, 4, 6, 8, etc. Then we come up with these flavored chords. We come up with a major 1, a minor 2, a minor 3, major 4, major 5, minor 6, diminished 7, don't worry about that. We're not going to use it very often, in a major 1, back to our major 1, okay? We could play these open. Okay? That's where we come up with our chords. Now, the intervallic relationship between the notes and the chords, the way they work, okay? So we have major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, diminished. I go into all sorts of detail on this inside of UGS, the one you can get into for $1 today, okay? Got other videos on YouTube as well, but that's where you're going to find the answers in order, the way you want them. So we have 7 chords. Major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, diminished. Those are the ones that naturally appear diatonically according to the major scale, and they're the ones that we hear the most, okay? All right, let's keep moving. Now, those chords, when we hear 2 major chords together, like, it automatically assumes that we're going to be coming whatever that's terrible Buffett song is, right? There's a 4, 5, and a 1. So whenever we hear 2 major chords together, they're alluding to, hey, this is, our ears, even though you don't know this, maybe, your ears automatically will pull you to the tonal center. And why is that, Eric? I'm glad you asked. Because since you were in your mother's womb, and your mom was singing to you, and you were hearing the radio through the amniotic fluid that was being resonated by her stomach shaking because the speaker was shaking because she was playing Led Zeppelin, you were getting the diatonic scale through your little tiny baby ears. Aw, isn't that cool? And you were already establishing what a tonal center is, what the 1, 4, 5 and all that stuff is, but you don't have the labels. That's it. That's all music theory is. It's just labels for stuff that we kind of know already, okay? Understand? All right, so understand that the way the notes work in the major scale and the way the chords are constructed because of that major scale literally start pointing to a tonal center, okay? Now, let's move on to number 5 here on my list. You don't have this list. I'm just for my own notes. There are chords that are more common than others. You can write these down. This is the order I found is the order of importance or how often we hear chords in the history of pop music. The 1 chord. The 1 chord appears more than any other time because it's the tonal center, and it's like reiterating what it is that we've come here to talk about. Okay? The 1 chord, obviously the most important chord. If you were to just evaluate all songs, is what I'm saying. The next most important chord is the 5 chord. There are a slew of country songs, a slew of blues songs with just the 1 and the 5. Arguably, there's a ton of songs with just the 1 and the 4 as well. I've seen statistics that say that the 4 chord appears as many times as the 5. I find that slightly hard to believe. I had to pick a winner. It was 5. So 1, 5, and 4, but 4 is closely right behind it, okay? Then, the next chord that's used often is the minor 6. Let's listen to a couple of these, right? So like, you've heard that one, right? With a pale blue eyes. That she meets and a real surprise. Whatever, I don't know the lyrics, but you get the idea. 1, 4, 5, right? That's a 1, 4, 5. Another common chord progression is 1, 6 minor, 4. Okay, so you got one, and these are. I'm naming these chords according to the bass note of the intervallic scale, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. So 1, 7, 6 minor. It's a 6 minor because it's got the 6 in the bass, and it's a minor chord. I won't go into major or minor chords, what that means right now, but there's a formula basically that you can create that creates the major or minor. Take advantage of the $1 offer I'm giving you guys today if you want to get into that, okay? So we got a 1, you got a minor 6, got a 4, because 1, 2, 3, 4, that's a C. Okay, right? So there's our 4, and number 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, D. So we have a 1, minor 6, 4, and a 5, okay? Very common chord progressions. The 2 minor is used, the 3 minor is used as well, and that's all I'll say about that without getting you guys confused. Okay, we're getting close to the end, and close to the end of the lesson part, and then I'm going to get to some of your questions. Okay, so conversation. We're having a conversation. I say this all the time, but I can't reiterate it enough. Okay, so I'm gonna say it again. So if we're having a conversation, let's say I'm somebody who you respect about a particular subject and we're talking. And if you want to sound intelligent, you would probably be listening very closely to what it is that I have to say because you don't want to say something dumb. Okay? Imagine if you were trying to court somebody or it was your idol or somebody like that. You were trying to sound smart. You would listen more than you would be talking. Or, that's my best advice for you, is to listen as opposed to just jabbering away. Where the words are many, where words are many, so are fools, or something like that, right? So, so listening, and so as a musician, we need to listen. Now, you can do this actively right now, listening to music, and it's going to be better than not. That being said, we have to learn what to listen for, okay? So like learning what the tonal center is, listening to when the chords move, listening to punches and certain rhythmic things. If I'm playing with the band, I'm listening and I'm watching the drummer and I'm watching everybody. I'm listening and observing and I'm taking in that stimuli to determine what it is that I'm going to play to complement what it is that they're going to do, right? So when we're comping, when we're complementing another player, that's what we're doing, is we're listening and we're playing something that's going to fit, right? What it is that that's working in the band situation, okay? So listening across is very important. So how does this apply to what we're talking about today? It definitely applies, because if I'm playing this, right now I'm riffing on a G chord, right? So if someone was going to solo over the top of this, they might want to do something, I mean, everything's going to be in the key of G major right now because that's what the key is that we're in. But if I'm playing around a, you know, I'm going to resolve these notes to a G as opposed to an E minor chord, which would be the next chord that I was going to play, and then I would play those notes and melodies and stuff around the minor chord. As opposed to an E minor. Okay, so there I'm playing the E minor chord, and then I'm resolving the licks and the little notes down to the notes that are in the E minor chord, okay? This is what I mean by having a conversation. I'm wanting to get inside your head. I'm wanting to move the conversation along, right? That's what philosophy is, the love of words, right? The love of you know, it's like moving forward. So conversation, if we're sitting there having these conversations, is really important to hear, to listen, because if you don't do that, you're not going to get anywhere, okay? All right, so being observant of the chords. So when you hear these players talk about, well, what are you thinking about when you're soloing? Most of the time they're going to say, well, I'm thinking about the chords, and then I'm playing on top of those chords. So here's something really cool to remember, is that when we hear songs being played, chords, melodies, all the rest, it's just overlapping. That's all we're doing, is we're overlapping chords and melodies. It's all the same 7 notes for the most part, okay? 99% of the time, it's only 7 notes. So we're having these notes and these chords just kind of collide into each other. They make sense because they're in the same key. If the melody was playing in a different key than the chord progression, it would sound terrible, and vice versa. So the melody guys are listening to the chord guys, and they're going, yeah, I know what you're doing, yeah, yeah, musically speaking. And the chord guys are like, yeah, I hear what you're doing, that's great, you're doing great playing on top of our chords like that. There's this conversation happening, and if it's not there, it's not going to help, okay? Okay, so we're listening to the chords, going somewhere with this. So we talked about chord noodling. I have this subject that I call chord noodling, which is just like basically when you take a chord and you alter it a little bit with notes from the scale to create chord noodling. And so you can do something like, I'll just take this G and this F sharp, okay, and I'll go like, okay, so everything I played in there was in the key of G, G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G, no other notes. G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, 7 notes. Get it? So, and what I did there is I just played a chord and I started altering that chord a little bit. I've got videos for that here on YouTube, chord noodling. Obviously, I have whole sections, so courses upon courses of those inside of UGS, okay? So, that was, I kind of jumped into number 7 there. How will you develop this, okay? Because now that I showed you these basics, how are you going to develop this? Well, there's a few different ways. Number 1, you can do what I just said, chord noodling, which is taking some chords, take a chord progression that you like, 1, 4, 5, 1, 5, 1, 4, 1, 4, 5 minor 6, 1, 4, 5, 2 minor, whatever it is. Come up with a chord progression that you like. And then what I like to do is take a melody or two, a note or two, well, it has to be more than 1 note, so 2 or 3 notes, and I will create a little motif. A motif is a musical idea, also known as a hook, and it's that thing that when you're listening to a song, you're like, oh, I love that. I love this song. It's my song, man. It's my song. It's that thing that makes you do that, okay? It's the hook, okay? And so chord noodling will help you do that. Another way that you could do is you could listen to classic songs, and you could study what the melody is doing. A lot of times they move in scales, in scale steps, or not scale steps, but scalarly, like moving up and going down. Usually not a lot of hopping type of thing. It's usually moving up and moving down, sometimes doing patterns that are very visual. A lot of Beatles music does this, but classic songs do this, okay? So that's a couple ways that you can develop this. Improvisation is another way that you can do this. Taking on, just putting on a chord progression. I don't care what it is. I won't pull something up on Spotify because it'll copyright ding us. But, you know, pull up a great band to listen to is Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. It's very chill music. It's not too complex. It's very sing-songy. And that's a great place to start. Play these songs, get your guitar out, play a melody, play the scale that's related to the key that you're in, right? So if it's in the key of G, just noodle around in the key of G major and see, and rest on those notes and see what sounds good. The great thing about music is that you're almost always just 1 note away from a note being correct. And what I mean by that is for it to be within the chord. Since when we play a chord, we're skipping notes. 1, 3, 5, 7, or flat 7, you know, 9, 11, 13. That's how we're building these extensions, these chord extensions, okay? Like a 13 chord, or a 7th chord, or a 9th chord, right? And since we're skipping notes, 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, 13, all the rest, then if we're playing a scale, if I'm playing this and I want some riff, I might do something like, okay? So it's like this note and this note are in the chord, but this note, that A is not, so I resolved it up. That lick would sound better over a G chord than the other way around. So if I went like a, as opposed to me doing something like I mean, it works, it's fine, but it's not the best in the world. Okay, so just understand that if you know the scale, the major scale, and you're just improvising over a particular key, then you're going to start getting the feel for this, okay? Now, that's literally, I'm going to take your questions now, but that's literally about all I can share with you before you have to just pick up the guitar and start doing this. It'd be like us talking about cooking, and we're 36 minutes into cooking class and you hadn't tasted anything, okay? So I can talk and I can tell you stuff, but you got to pick up the instrument and you have to start applying this stuff. If you don't, it's all for naught. Then I'm just kind of sitting here entertaining you. And I don't know how entertaining I am, so probably not very. So that being said, you know this stuff now, get your guitar out and you're going to start practicing this stuff. Chord noodling, improvisation, pro jam tracks on YouTube. Great visual jam tracks that you can see the chords there, tell you the key, all the rest, and then you start improvising. You got to get this stuff under your fingers, okay? Okay, excellent. All right, let's get to some questions here. If you could, all caps with a question mark, that would be awesome. And here we go. Worship God for Life is saying, so I have to play a song in the key of F sharp, but I want to play the key of A, shapes. What fret do I put the capo on? I love this question. I love questions like this, so let's talk about it. So let's think about this. This is the easiest thing, and listen up, everybody, because you run into this issue. I know you do. And if you know this, how to do this already, then good for you. But most people don't. I run into people all the time, been playing guitar for a long time. They don't get this concept. It's so easy. Listen, Worship God for Life she wants to play in the key of F, but she wants to play the key of A, shapes. So what does that mean? That means her A chord, what she's calling the A shapes, right? She wants to play in the key of A. She wants those shapes to be under her fingers, or his fingers. Then the A needs to be an F sharp. What? If she wanted to play in the key of F sharp, she'd just play in the key of F sharp, or F sharp, okay? That would be easy enough. But what she wants is, or he wants the A to be an F sharp, okay? So how do we do that? Well, we need to move the A, because the A is not an F sharp, it's an A. So we need to move that A, we can only move it up. So we need to move it until that A becomes an F sharp. So we got A sharp, B, C, C sharp, D, D sharp, E, F, F sharp. There we go. So that's where we would put our capo. And now your A is way up here. Now that's not very comfortable, is it? That's not going to be very comfortable for you. What I would suggest you do is do this in the key of the C feel, because the key, the feel of G and C. So this is what I call the feel of. So you said the key of A shapes. That's what I would call the feel of A, because it feels like A. If the chords feel like A, right? But here's our F sharp. Now I'm playing like I'm playing in the key of C, and my chords are very easy, right? C, D minor, E minor, F sharp, G, A minor. That's a super easy key to play in. The capo is not too high on the guitar. I still don't like having it that high, but it's fun. Makes it sound a little ukulele-like. But there you go. That's what I would do. I tell you what, Worship of God, or Worship God for Life, the dollar offer, if you're not in there already, I have a capo key chart for you that's all colorized and tells you, okay, if you're in this key and you want this, do this. Put the capo here. And we'll tell you all that. Okay. Hey. Good. All right, looking for questions. Okay, so Sanat Kumar Fukan says, sir, how to create spiritual music in guitar? Now listen, anything, this is spiritual right here. It's spiritual, okay? What I mean by that is this. It's as spiritual as anything is spiritual. Music stirs the spirit, right? In the description of this video, I said, have you ever listened to a song that makes you want to get up out of your seat, or makes you want to just rage, or drive fast, or have fun, or surf, or do something? Yes. If so, it's evoking your spirit, okay? That's what worship music does a lot, right? It evokes your spirit to worship. And so that's just what music does. Now, whether you determine that that's spiritual or not is completely subjective. Because I personally played music, worship music a lot. I don't particularly like worship music. To me, it falls a little flat for me, okay? But for you, that may be totally fine. And you may not like some of the stuff I listen to. That's cool, man. That's how music works. And thank goodness that we don't like all the same music or the same gal or the same guy. Otherwise, everybody would be going after my wife. And then I'd have to, it's on to fisticuffs. So you got to understand that this is all subjective. Music is subjective, okay? Just understand that. If you're playing a melody, you know what I'm talking about? Some hay bales. I have to throw some hay bales. Isn't that what they call them? Haymakers.
Feisty today.
Yeah, I'm feisty today, Mike. So if you're playing melodies, the one that moves you, I would say that's what you're talking about is spiritual, but music is spiritual, so, all right. And I see you asking that question many different ways, my friend. Here, you want the God's honest truth? Study to show yourself approved. If you want to really truly do this, you go through the course materials. If you don't have the money for it, go through the free course that I give you at YourGuitarSage.com/30. Watch the 1,000 some odd free videos that I give you here on YouTube. Show yourself approved by working and making it. There's no thing I'm going to say that's going to turn on the light for you. At least with writing. You've got to create, you've got to conjure that stuff from within, and the only way to do it is sheer work. Okay? All right. Sujit, I think you messed up the scale of F. Only one flat in that one. No, there's 3. If you follow the major scale, look, check it out. F, right? F, G, we have A. The next note would be B, so we have a B flat, C flat, D flat, or no, sorry, that is a D, and a E. So 2 flats, so we were both wrong. Not 3 flats, but 2 flats, yeah. And see, I don't even think about things like that. Someone might be like, that guy's played for like 40 years and he doesn't even know that. No, I don't think that way. There are people that don't know sharps or flats for anything. Everybody plays differently, friends. And as soon as we let ego get in the way of music, you've lost the whole point of it. Okay, it's a spiritual journey. It's a spiritual thing, right? Yeah, there's things to know about music, but like, there are musicians who don't know anything, who they just know shapes and patterns and stuff. They don't know what scale they're playing and what have you. And they could play circles around me. There's no problem with that, you know? They're inspired and they pick up the guitar. That's awesome. Okay. Wow. Somebody said, my mom has mental health issues and music was not allowed in our house. Wow. Man, music is so healing. Music is absolutely so healing. This isn't just me saying it. There are peer papers on this. It's very healing. And that's unfortunate for someone not to allow music. I was talking to someone the other day. We were saying that every now and then I'll run into someone who's like, I don't really listen to music. We're like, you don't listen to music? Like, how is that even possible? Like, oh my God. Like, there are some people who just don't listen to music. They're focused on other things, talk radio or whatever. It's bizarre because I can't imagine life without music. All right. Oh, thank you so much, Scott. Scott, I've been seeing your comments inside of UGS. He's saying, I'm doing UGS right now. Best guitar class I have done in 50 years of playing guitar. Thank you, Scott, and thank you for the messages that you've been sending me in there because they really brighten my day. I love to see when a student starts getting stuff, and you've been very exclamatory about it, and it really makes my day, so thank you so much for that. Okay. Is the songwriting course, anyone have the songwriting course? Is it guitar-based or piano-based? Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, Scott. It does not matter. Now, Melissa, my wife, who is the teacher in that course, the instructor, she writes on ukulele, guitar, piano, or keys, and also just with nothing. So it's all. She just takes it from the point of view of writing songs, not any particular instrument. Ah, thank you, Lee. Good stuff. Okay. Hold on. YouTube did their jump forward thing here. Okay, here we go. If you have a looper pedal, this is a great thing for what it is we're talking about for creating these melodies, indeed. Okay, John is saying if we wanted to play in the key of E flat minor, for instance, what are the 1, 4, 5 minor 6? Been struggling with this type of trying to play in different keys. So John, these questions always come down to a lack of fundamentals. That's all it is. And welcome to the club, John, because that's every guitar player, okay? Just lacking some of the fundamentals, that's it, okay? So if we're talking about a 1, 4, 5 minor 6, the minor 6 is the E flat minor, okay? The minor chord is that minor 6. So the way I would do this is this. I would say, okay, E flat, and that's where my minor chord would be, okay? That's my minor chord. And so I would put the 1 chord right here. So in that case, the 1, 4, 5 minor 6 would be 1, 4, 5, minor 6, 4, 5, minor 6, or okay. I don't think that might help you just for that one particular thing, John, but again, beginner section of UGS is where you need to go to get all this info, okay? Okay, we answered that one. Okay, good, good. So yeah, so someone's asking E flat. Yeah, so my knees, you got it right. Figure out what the relative major is, G flat, I think, and find it easier to use the major scale than relate to the minor. Thank you, my knees. You are correct, sir. That is correct. That's exactly what I did just now, right? Do you hear the music in your head when you read sheet music? If so, how can you learn that skill? John, no, I do not. I would say in order for you to be able to do that, you need to be really, really, really well versed in orchestration. You know, I say that people aren't born with things, and for the most part, I believe that. I think that there are anomalies that can happen sometimes where, you know, someone might have a specific niche skill like that to where they can just see things and hear it in their head, kind of. But what I have found to be true is the more you do something, the more that sort of thing manifests itself. So for instance, so you're asking, how do you learn that skill? Write, orchestrate, transcribe, do all that stuff, and do it without hearing the stuff in your head. And then you'll start hearing the stuff in your head. It never happens the other way around. That's too easy. Why would life be that way? No, it really is. It's not. It doesn't happen like you don't just hear it. You have to learn, okay? Because look, our brains are hell-bent on creating shortcuts. This is an evolutionary thing. We want to do shortcuts. We don't want to do the same thing over and over and over and over and over again, because we know there's a bunch of other things that we got to do. And so if you are trying to figure something out and you're like, now what is that intervallic jump from that dot to that dot? I don't know. And then you're sitting there with the guitar and you figure it out. Well, eventually you're going to find some short way cut to do it, so that the next time you're going to be building a neural path that's going to help you to do that. And the more you do it, the more energy that goes into that place and builds that neural path stronger. So that's how we literally create function, like thinking, like being able to think. You're not able to do something one day and then the next day you are able to do it through practice, or many days later or many months later. It's through practice. You're building neural paths, and that's all we're talking about doing here. Thank you for offering your courses for free for veterans. I'm waiting for my DD 214 now. I love your courses. Thank you, my friend. Yeah, YourGuitarSage.com/veterans. If you are a U.S. veteran, you know, or currently serving, then please take advantage of that offer that I have for you, okay? My Knees says, write one song a day. Exactly. Write for the trash can. That's the best thing that was ever told to me in regards to writing, is write for the trash can. What does that mean? It means if you write a song and your goal is that it ends up in that trash can at the end of the day, you did what it is that you came to do. You wrote a song. You're not going to throw it away if it's a great song. If it's let it be, I guarantee you it's not going to find its way to the trash can. But what it does is it takes off the pressure of having to write a hit song every time you write a song, because that's just not the way it works. I think my wife says, you got to write 100 songs to get 10 decent ones. You need to write 10, what is it? You got to write 100 decent ones to make one great song, or something like that. You got to write a lot of songs, okay? Might be listening here. I don't know. This thing may be running out of batteries. I'm seeing a little red light come on every now and then. Should we eventually know the name of the note we put our finger on, any fret and string? Cheryl, it's less important than one would think. What is very important, though, is understanding the structure of, say, like scales and chords, knowing where those scales and chords appear. Because here's why it's less important to know what the name of the note is with the fingers. That at the end of the day, it doesn't matter much unless we're conversing with another musician and we're saying, hey, I need you to do this. Because at the end of the day, if I'm playing, like, watch, I'm going to play the major scale in all different keys. I don't know what sharps and flats they are, and I don't know what key I'm playing in. I'm not going to look at my guitar. I'm just going to play, and then I'm going to slide up here, and then I'm going to slide down. Okay, I played that in 3 different keys. I couldn't even tell you what keys they were in. I think this one might have been in G. Other than that, I can't tell you what keys they were in. Couldn't tell you the sharps and flats, but I can tell you that the pattern was the same for all three of them. So relatively speaking, I know that the 1 and the 2 and the 3 and the 4 and the 5 and the 6 and the 7 and the 1 are in the same spot every time. And all the chords are built upon those notes. If you think like that, you'll be a super powerful musician without having to do all the other stuff. If you want to learn it, do it. But Pareto's rule, right? Learn the right 20% of the stuff, yield 80% of the result, instead of learning the other 80% of the stuff and only gaining 20% more. How to find accurate chords for a song. For example, chords like major 7, minor 7, sus2. Well, that depends. But watching tutorials is a good thing to do. That's what I've literally done for decades. Finger picking. What is the best way to start? Differences in folk versus classical. In a nutshell, I'll give you a 1-minute finger picking lesson. Classical usually plays like this, with the guitar on the left thigh, and the guitar is up like this. Sometimes the foot's sitting on a stool. Folk is usually over on this side. Thumb takes care of strings 6, 5, and 4. Fingers 1, 2, and 3 take care of strings 3, 2, and 1 respectively. And I'm noticing that these fingers are coming in and out. So this is outside, this is inside. So you can do that. You can also bring the thumb down a string. So, but for the most part, that's where they're going to stay. Thumb is 6, 5, and 4, and these other fingers will take care of 3, 2, and 1, or sometimes 4, 3, and 2. Who's asking that? Matt, take advantage of that $1 offer today. Take advantage of it, because there's a whole section in there on fingerstyle. And in fact, just the very first finger picking lesson, where I give you a battery of practicing bits to do, will massively change your fingerstyle life, okay? I've tried to do artificial harmonics. Is there a trick? I don't have my electric right now. So I have a video for that, Tim. Search YourGuitarSage artificial harmonic, or YourGuitarSage pseudo harmonic, or squealy. You're going to find it there, okay? Otherwise, I can tell you the short of it is, start on the low strings, start on the low frets, and get used to that string hitting the side of your thumb. You're not going to hear it too much on the acoustic, but on the electric you definitely would, okay? All right, good stuff. Question: How do you find the chord and strumming pattern for a song? Aziz. Okay, so both. I have 2 videos for these, and I could give you a quick answer, but it's not going to satisfy you, and it's not going to help you. So, how do you find the chord to a song? Search YourGuitarSage tonal center. YourGuitarSage tonal center. Also search YourGuitarSage strumming. I have lots of videos on strumming, but one of them will say like how to find the strumming pattern for a song, okay? Those are longer. I'm not going to be able to answer those quickly for you. How do you find out what chord that you are playing if you are ever unsure? Heather, if you understand the 9 essential chords like I teach at the beginner section of UGS, and you learn some basic bar chords, you won't have questions of what chord you're playing. Chances are you're going to have a basic idea of what the basic part of the chord is, okay? Otherwise, I think there are some apps out there, but man, I hate even suggesting something like that, because they handicap people. They make it to where you do not ever end up learning stuff. And it's just, people think they're learning stuff from these apps, from whatever, musicians. It's like, you're learning a little bit, but you might as well be playing Rock Band or whatever, Guitar Hero or something. You're not really playing guitar, okay? How to find accurate chords for a song. For example, okay, we talked about that one, right? I've been using a cheap capo off Amazon and it works fine. Is there a case to buy an expensive? Is there a case to buying an expensive capo? No, that one's working for you. Do it. I mean, I've got expensive capos. I've got cheap ones. I didn't buy the expensive ones. I find that, you know, the curvature has something to do with it. I have one by Thalia where they come with different bits for different guitars. So that's kind of cool. I like one that is adjustable because that has to do with tuning stability. Kenyatta, thank you. UGS Pro is the bomb and well worth the money. Thank you. Any plans for a course on singing? Oddly enough, I had breakfast again with Brett Manning, who might be one of the most well-known online guitar instructors in the world. He's taught Keith Urban, and I mean, he's worked with, like, go to his website and you'll see this guy, he's worked with everybody. But we are planning a course sometime in December, but he's a very busy dude. We're both very busy, and so our schedules keep missing each other, but it's gonna happen. But yes, there is one in the works. Okay, Ben saying mind blown, good, all right. So he's getting that aha moment, okay? All right. What do you recommend focusing on after learning the cage system? Jake, that question's really open. So you'd have to tell me so much more about what it is that you're looking for. If you want to learn blues, then I would study blues. If you want to be a studio guitar player, I'd start following the footsteps of a great studio guitar player, you know. There's just, cage is just one of many, many, many different things that one could learn, okay? Greetings from Holland, from the guy who loves your crazy 80s falsetto voice. Been watching your stuff for more than a decade now, come to think of it. Oh, nice, I love that. It's the Ayatollah of rock and roll. Beautiful. I still have Choopy, I do. She's still alive, she's kicking. She's just a sweetie. Fed her this morning. Yeah, indeed. All right. Let's recap here because we're at the end of our questions. All right, friends. A lot of the stuff that I've taught you today is in the beginning of UGS. If you're in UGS already, you know where to go. If you don't, take advantage of the $1 offer. But you got to know the major scale. It really all comes down to the major scale. If you don't know the major scale and you're like, yeah, but what should I learn? Oh my God, learn the major scale, okay? Learn the major scale, learn why that's important. I teach it to you because that's where we get our chords from. It's literally the ingredients in our soup. You want soup? You ask for soup. I'm telling you, these are the ingredients. Get used to using them. Switch them around, try them in different proportions and what have you. You got to experiment. So now you know that, but now you got to do your thing. Hey, Lacey. Here's my friend Lacey, instrumental and also inspiring and intimidating. Ha. All right, so these are the ingredients in our soup. Okay, so you got to get used to them. So I can teach you. Okay, this is a pot. This is a pan. We're gonna put the heat to here and here, the ingredients and stuff. But you got to get dirty. You got to get your hands dirty doing this stuff. Otherwise, you're just not gonna learn it. Okay. When you start getting your hands dirty and you start realizing, oh, that connects to this and that, you'll start seeing the matrix of music. And when you do, you can't unsee it. It's all there, okay? On all these other little subjects too, I probably have a video here on YouTube. If you don't want to be part of our amazing community where we help each other out, we're doing 3 live videos tomorrow for just our private folks, then keep watching on YouTube, but don't ask me why it is that you're not moving forward, okay? Jason saying, do you prefer 3 notes per string or standard shape of the major scale? Jason's saying, Jason, it just depends on what I'm doing. I prefer the standard shape. It's just more comfortable for my hand, but I've definitely used that in songs before, especially where I was doing like runs of 3 notes per string, then it makes a lot of sense, you know? All right, friends, I'm out of here. Thank you so much, and we will see you next week.